My name is Jane Buchsbaum. I'm very blessed having two great cities in my life. New Orleans, Louisiana, 5 generations. Santa Fe, New Mexico. Suppose it was Cleveland and Cincinnati. It wouldn't be as good. Bill has been my husband now, as of today, 60 years and 1 day. We came to Santa Fe in 1987, and luckily both of us fell tremendously in love with it. I got very involved in the civil rights movement in the 1960s, and stayed deeply involved in that until 1992 full time. And in all that time, it was a huge effort to change the way of life in New Orleans in terms of black people, which was very important to me. And also, in particular, to stop a man named David Duke, who was trying to force his way to become governor of the state of Louisiana. He was a horrible person, still is a horrible person, and we always try to stop him in whatever he attempts to do. They're still calling me, what are we going to do? And I said, look, I'm not there anymore. You can do it on your own. I'm 82 years old and I live in Santa Fe, but you all can stop him. You know what to do. And I'm sure they have. One of the first things I did was something called a Black-Jewish dialogue in New Orleans, and it became rather important. And when we had these big meetings once a year, people came from all over the country to participate in them, to find some sort of understanding between the two, and to compliment each other for what would have been accomplished in the early 60s. We had one particular convention in Dallas where I wore a tag that said National Council of Jewish Women, and every time I saw a beautiful middle-class black person, they came running over to me and gave me a hug because I was Jewish, because we had accomplished so much together. I had never before experienced an awful lot of wonderful black people together with us at the same level economically and socially. These were not servants. They were people who were good working people, well educated, and they loved us because we were Jewish and we had done so many good things together. It was a real learning experience. I don't know what it was. I came from a family who certainly only knew black people as servants in the house. I don't know how I was lucky enough that my mind insisted that I get rid of discrimination as I found it, do all I could. In New Orleans, I was able to get a wonderful job at the Jewish Federation of Greater New Orleans, where I eventually became the executive director of the whole thing. And I happened to be the first woman who was hired as an executive director of an intermediate-sized city. And there was a wonderful little organization in New Orleans called the Community Relations Committee. We did great things. We integrated the state science fair. We integrated the whole of the Audubon Park, where there was a zoo and riding stables and all kinds of things there that people really needed to have for recreation. And the thinking had been, it was really terrible that little black children could never ride a pony in the park, because then if a little white child came after the black child, he might get a terrible disease from the black child having his legs spread on the saddle. And of course it was false. And of course we overcame it. And the park was well integrated. Thank goodness, it was exactly the right thing to do. But there were just many examples like that. We were determined to find some peace between blacks and Jews and whites and everybody in the city of New Orleans. But the Jews certainly took a lead in the movement, and that was something to be very proud of. So I had to find out, and I determined to study what it was to be Jewish. So I went from civil rights into Judaism. Most people go the other way, from Judaism into civil rights, but I did it backwards. Because of the civil rights laws that have been passed, all of those are tremendously important. But you know what? It doesn't change people's hearts. And I have seen with my own eyes, and have almost experienced in many cases, acts of discrimination. I've seen things that I found really distressing. People say that economics is really the problem, and maybe it is. Maybe that's the most of it. I guess having to do with levels of income, money, whatever, it's always money. But it's probably deeper than that. It's things of the heart. People don't really want black people moving into their neighborhoods. I don't care if it's north or south. They really don't want black children going to school with their children. And that doesn't matter whether it's north or south. I've seen too much of it to know it still exists. So I feel we accomplished some things, and it was important. But still got a lot to do. A lot to do.